One question a lot of founders have is they might have an idea.
Right.
They have a small budget.
Yeah.
Maybe it's only $1,000. Maybe they're trying to figure out, maybe they have friends willing to put in some money, but they're not going to do that until they take the first step. So what is that first step that you recommend people take? If they've only got a $1,000 budget, how should they spend that to bring their idea to life?
I think for founders that have very limited budget, very limited finance, they're really still in a phase where they're trying to get financing, really. With $1,000, with just a few $1,000s, all you can hope for is building early prototypes and improve your pitch deck, essentially.
So what's an early prototype? Is that like?
One example we had, I worked for two guys. They were doing a very small electronics device that was doing a real-time location on the cheap, very low power, something, we have the AirTag nowadays. It was a smaller, much lower power, local version. Like it didn't try to connect to the internet or anything. It was really tiny emitters, tiny receptors, and you want to try to build a software stack that lets you locate all those things, right? And the founder, he was financing it by working in a restaurant and just putting the extra cash he could set aside into building this up with his friend. One electronic guy and him as the founder and kind of the idea and the driver. And found me to start building a software. So it was immediately obvious that they had very limited cash. Right? And I was in a position to help. I think from the technical side, I had knowledge that was applicable to their problem, that I could start building. But not working for equity and working with a very small budget, the stuff I could provide was somewhat limited. And I was working in that mindset of doing small, interesting increments in terms of software stack.
Like agile,
so that they can continue doing proof of concept and pitching and continue on a path to raise a little more capital.
And I want to be specific. When you say it was a small budget, are we talking less than 10 grand?
2,000, I think.
2,000 total or 2,000 a month?
That they wanted to pay me to basically build a prototype software stack to process the kind of a raw data that was coming out from the devices.
So 2,000 fixed price to build a prototype.
I honestly don't remember, but it was
sure.
5,000 was the max, I think.
But that's not mock-ups. That's not like a pitch deck in vaporware. That is like actual code running a prototype.
They had a prototype electronic device. Right? And so at that point, you're just getting raw data out of it. You're getting raw data from your radio, and you need to try to translate that into something actionable that can demonstrate that you have a viable product, right? That you might have an electronic solution that is very cheap to solve a problem. And I think mistakes were made on all sides.
That's life.
From my perspective, I sold this as a fixed bid because I think with the amount of money they had, they were uncomfortable with me building hours. With me saying, okay, I'm going to work on this. And I'm going to build that much. I'm going to build that much per hour. And I'm going to kind of show you my progress, and we're going to iterate, and So they preferred something that was a little more definite and a fixed bid price. And there was misunderstanding on how much I was supposed to deliver for that price. So in the end, what I gave them and how much it did was a little disappointing for their expectations. But from my perspective, it was as good as it was going to get with the amount of money and with the data that was coming out of the device.